Welcome to NFT Price Floor Podcast. Today we present AI, the next Web3 bull run.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Awesome.
Hey, all
Thank
good,
you,
all good.
NFT Price Floor.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to the guys from NFT Price Floor. Thanks for this opportunity. Yeah, very excited.
Hey, AI Bert, how's it going, brother? Thank you for the opportunity, man.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Yeah, it's my pleasure, guys.
Shout out to everybody in the room. Make sure and reach up there and or down there, wherever your retweet button is, and let everybody know where you're at. And we're talking about AI, the next Web3 bull run. Big question mark.
Yeah, that's the question mark. But maybe we should take the question mark off, because I think it is not, it has room to grow still, but it's happening. We just need to take a look to some numbers here, and we'll realize that this is getting pretty big. And if we take a look to the top AI artists, like people like Pindar, Van Arman, or Claire Silver, they are doing it pretty awesome so far.
100%.
So, for example, I was taking a look to Tim Salihov's. Shout out to Tim Salihov. He's got a Twitter account talking about AI, and it's worth to give it a follow. And yeah, he posted a tweet like a couple of months ago talking about the AI art market, and this was from February 28th. Okay, so by that time he was talking about the last 12 months, where over 3,000 collectors spent $20 million collecting AI art. So 20 million, it's quite a good amount of money. Don't you think so?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Hey, Albert. Just a little background on Tim. He actually made his name as somebody covering the NFT photography market, and then he's sort of dabbling in the AI side now. So he's done a couple different pieces on it that are really instructive. But he's done a lot of stats and figures on mostly the NFT photography market. But he has a newsletter which you can subscribe to, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think both things are interesting to us: the NFT photography market and the AI market. And he has a Substack, and he's really worth following. He puts together a lot of interesting information on the market and what's happening.
Yeah, Tim Salikhov with K-A-H. I don't know how it's pronounced correctly, but yeah, Tim. So yeah, I would say that AI art is already a bull run, but for sure there's a lot of room to grow. For example, still, compared to generative art, top 5 AI collections are valued at $40 million versus $640 million, the top 5 Gen Art collections. That's a 16x difference. But if we take a look to the overall art market worldwide, the total value of transactions in the art market worldwide last year amounted to $67.8 billion US. So this is I don't know. There's plenty of room to grow. I mean, this is really early stages, right?
Oh yeah, buddy. We're just getting beginning. Now, talking about introductions, AI Bert, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Well, AI Bird Ganvok is my name, and I think Matt Batters thinks is one of the coolest in the AI space. And yeah, I'm hosting a weekly Twitter Spaces interviewing AI artists. We talk about I'm more focused. I'm really interested on the artist's view of its own work or view of the world, of life. I'm interested in more this kind of more subjective, which is very much related with art, I think. Art is not just the technology, the tools that allow us to make it, but there's something beyond that. And yeah, we are doing it weekly. And I'm also an artist trying to build a legacy here. What about you, Mars and Matt Matter? You're also artists, right?
Yes, both Mad Butter and I are co-hosts. We co-host the daily weekday AI Art Today Twitter Spaces. We're currently on episode 188, and we're here every morning, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. CST. And so I tell you what, yeah, you know, we Mad Butter and I are both artists, and in fact, I sold my first NFT through the most famous artist community May 11th of 21. And then I've been making one-on-one art since, experimenting in animation and now AI. And Mad Butter, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been kind of working in kind of the intersection of tech, digital art, design for like over 30 years. I originally got my master's in computer art at School of Visual Arts like in the 90s, so I've been around for a long time. It's not my first rodeo. I started a string of companies, an early .com in the 90s, a technology-themed bar here in New York City, interactive lighting company that I moved to Thailand to work with. So I've been in a bunch of different things, both in the sort of business side of things and the art, digital art side of things, and in the tech and physical computing side of things for a long time. But I got into NFTs, I don't make this too long. I got into NFTs like in the early 2020s, and then AI art at the end of that year. And it kind of my sensibility. I've done generative art, I've done all kinds of digital art in my long career in art. And so I'm sort of happy to talk about the intersection of the two. I just recently talked at NFT NYC, this last one, talked about the intersection of AI art and NFTs. And so I hope I can convey what I talked about there here for you all.
By the way, I think you have one of the, or maybe the best Twitter spaces about AI. So people, if you want giga brain level information every day, 8 a.m. EST, AI Art Today.
Gigabrain, I love it.
If you're interested, follow Mars and Mad Butter and I, and we regularly post the spaces, so you can jump in on them. We'd love to see you. We'd love to see you come. We have everything from sort of super AI tech engineering nerds to artists who don't care about the tech, to people that don't really care about the tech and are just interested in AI art just to understand what it means in our society today. So we have pretty much all kinds of levels. People come up and show us what they're working on. People talk about. We go through a whole new segment in AI. It was like the NFTs were, a couple of years ago, where every single week some new thing comes out. So I think for people that like fast changing environment with a lot of really interesting new alpha to talk about, it'd be a great space. Hope you all come and join us.
And you all start doing interviews to artists, right?
Yes. Yeah, we were lucky to start off our whole interview series with Pindar Van Arman. We also interviewed Rope Reynesto back in November. before he had this crazy climb to fame. And so Rope is definitely somebody we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
And Ganbrud
sure.
and Sophia Crespo and a couple others, real OG AI artists who are doing very well in the market. Xander Steenbruge, a few of them. We've interviewed them all. Except for Claire Silver, but we're working on her.
That's right. Hey, you know, I want to take a moment. The title of the room, AI, the next Web3 bull run. And I think that's one of the smartest titles because, you know, it says Web3 and not NFT. You know, when I started our spaces back in October, you know, that was a thing I realized because, you know, I'm so bullish on self-sovereignty, the blockchain. And once I saw AI begin to blow up, I was like, okay, this is the aspect of Web3 that we've been waiting on. Web3 is not just blockchain, but now we're beginning to see Web3 is also AI. And so I think this is the perfect marriage of technology and automation and also the art, all the arts, whether it's art, music, is revolutionizing everything. Everything's getting turned on its head, except for Web3. It's actually being more innovative and accelerating. So even in a bear market, I think it's pretty wild that AI came in. In fact, Midjourney was being introduced. Now, of course, we've had AI before Midjourney, but Midjourney was just starting to get popular as NFTs as the market started dropping. And then you had such a flood move into that art market. And so right now we're seeing the fruits of that. So
yeah, I think
the next Web3 bull run, you got it. Yeah, go ahead.
You definitely got it.
I think the analogy that I used is also like, I mean, AI is so much bigger than AI art. I mean, just the way the blockchain is bigger than, you know, NFTs. But I do think that the analogy is not perfect in the sense that that AI is even so much bigger than in terms of transforming society than blockchain will be. I think that's a, you know, grandiose statement, but I think that we're all seeing that, given the level of fear and anxiety about what AI means for the human race and for the short term and long term. It is an interesting thing to engage with because it is a very, very complicated subject with a lot going on outside of the very sort of narrow idea of AI art.
Mm-hmm. How do you think AI could be like merged with blockchain besides art, for example?
So right now, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that I think one of AI art's biggest, well, not, I wouldn't say drawbacks, but the thing that people complain about at all is this idea that blockchain is so good at, which is provenance. If we're, and I don't want to dive right into this right away, but we're going to talk about AI art as copying and stealing, and we're worried about protecting artists' rights. I think there's probably an interesting path there for blockchain and AI to work together to sort of both create a sort of opportunity and possibility for AI artists to sell and distribute their art around the world to get their audience, but also possibly to help on this whole idea of authorship and you know and ownership and that sort of issue.
Yeah, I think AI kind of allows us to mass production. It makes things really easy and really fast to do. And in the other side, blockchain is about scarcity, right? So they both like balance of each other.
Yeah, and regardless of art, just in basics, AI is helping to build better security. They already have AI protocols that they're using with blockchain because guys, the good guys have AI and the bad guys have AI too, and so security is definitely ramping up, and AI is being used for that, and so it's being incorporated all the way around, for sure.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm trying to find. I can find. The other day you interview Kate Voss. how's her marketplace? Because she recently released a marketplace where you can mint pieces, okay, mint NFTs, but you can have the prompt of your AI artwork like on chain as well, which is something that I think is really cool, like the relationship, the merge between AI and blockchain.
Yeah, I mean, Kate Voss is a real innovator in the space. She has a physical gallery. She sells physical artwork as well as been dipping very heavily into the NFT space. And an interview is very good because we kind of did ask her about the conception that NFTs were supposed to, disrupt the whole gallery system. And she's a disruptor, though. She says, yeah, that's true. It's disrupting. They're creating new relationships between, artists and collectors and all kinds of things that are transforming the way the art is made and sold. But at the same time, she thinks there's a lot of innovation from the point of view of helping artists navigate this space. And she has been in her gallery, she sells a lot of generative art, and that's where she got started. And now she's moved into AI art. One of the interesting things from that interview was that she sees sort of a continuity between generative art and AI art. She thinks AI is just a subset of generative art. And that's an interesting point we could talk about. But I do think that what Albert's talking about is one of the most innovative things she did with a really notable artist called Ganbrood. She created something that made that sort of similarity even stronger, in that there is sort of a single prompt that is kept on chain that is used to generate, just like in long form generative art, is used to generate all the variations in the piece, and the work is stunning. But in any case, I would encourage all of you who are interested in digital art, generative art, AI art, to go look at her gallery and look at her roster of artists. It is really all the important blue chip artists in the space, in the AI space, and certainly a bunch of them in the generative art, art block style space.
How's the gallery called?
The Kate Voss gallery, digital gallery, is k011.com. And the project you were talking about is her new 0K AI. It looks like OK AI, so either way, it looks great. 0K for zero knowledge proofs. There you go for all you nerds. 0K AI at k011.com. And it is kind of patterned after kind of an art blocks kind of idea. And so I think it's ingenious for sure.
Yeah. So the thing is that there is a prompt on chain, and from this prompt, a whole collection is generated, right?
Yes, and the prompt is encrypted, so nobody can see it. It's, what does she call it? A secret that nobody can read and everybody can see, which I think is kind of cute and fun. So the thing is, of course, when you mint, just like in art blocks, it does generate an image that then is put on Arweave, and then you have a fixed image that the prompt generated, and so it's very similar to that idea. But there's an edition of 350 sold out in minutes, and it's pretty interesting. Ganbrood himself took the experiment on as sort of an experiment. He's very much into being a one-of-one artist, but he loved the idea of trying to experiment with this particular, with something particular to NFTs. First of all, this idea that there is an equivalent to the art blocks, putting the algorithm on chain, the P5 code or the processing code on chain, and sort of playing with that whole idea of it. So anyway, check it out.
Yeah, which for an AI artist is pretty wild, because you don't, just like with art blocks, the idea, you don't know what you're going to get until the process goes through. And so what the prompt usually provides. But for anybody that's prompted on AI, imagine if they said, okay, we want you to submit a prompt to a project that we're going to generate 300 images, and we want them to all look good. So make sure and give us a good prompt. Hey, no pressure, huh? So that's kind of what it is. But at the same time, it's exciting because nobody knows. And what's different than art blocks is there's that AI chaos and creativity that comes with AI that, adds, a little bit of mystery to each one. So I think it's a fascinating idea.
Yeah, it's a fascinating idea, but do they use the same kind of AI to generate the collection? Or, because depending on the AI that you are using with the same prompt, where you're going to get very, very different outputs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's some confusion about that. People think, oh, I can run the prompt again and regenerate my work just like I would in Art Blocks. It's not that way. They have a certain environment. None of that is really is sort of revealed to the user. But what happens is, at one time, the prompt is used with some AI generator that we don't know, and all 333 images are minted and then fixed, and that's a moment in time. Then the whole thing is thrown away and never run again, kind of thing, just like in Art Blocks. So it's less the idea that if you had access to the prompt, you could run it again today, because that doesn't work in AI. Every version of Midjourney is different. Every day it's different. The difference between Midjourney and DALL-E and all these other different art creation tools are extreme, and that's not the point. The point was that that he had a stable environment, a stable sort of program to run this in, ran thousands and thousands to make sure it was okay, and then turned it over to the minting process so that he had, with a high degree of confidence, that anything newly just run from that prompt in that environment on that day would be high quality.
Cool. And then the AI generator used for the collection, they get rid of it.
Yeah, well, they're not saying what it is. They're not saying if it's Midjourney or if it's DALL-E. That whole part's not important. I do think that it's a little bit of a showmanship to put the prompt on chain. It's just a way to it's a little bit of a showmanship thing, because it's not that essential to it, but it does reveal that the whole premise of the piece is very similar to long form AI, in the sense that the prompt had to be so worked and so carefully constructed that it never gave a bad output, but also had enough room in it to do interesting variation. So, like, Tyler Hobbs wrote a very famous piece on long form AI. Maybe I'll try to post it up in the nest. But yeah, he says that in generative art, you probably all know this already, or some, I know a bunch of people here are probably generative art followers. But the idea being, with generative art, it's very, very different than this idea that an algorithm, sometimes puts good stuff out. So you do 10,000 outputs, and then you save the top 5%, and then you sell those as NFTs. So you curate the output. In long form generative art, you finesse the algorithm so thoroughly and so carefully that it never does a bad output, and it also has enough variety so that all the pieces don't look too similar or the same, but they have some sort of coherence in terms of theme, mood, subject matter, and that sort of thing. So anyway, that's what she's kind of like trying to get at in her AI, long form AI.
Yeah, really cool, really cool.
I hope I didn't lose anybody there. I don't know what you guys know and what you don't know. So this is a new space for us.
Yeah.
Looking forward to get some interaction from you guys and some questions, because I'm not sure what you're interested in hearing. I assume that a bunch of you have concerns about AI and a bunch of you are excited about it. I'd like to hear both of those things at some point. But
yeah, and initially, if anybody has a question, if you look in the lower right-hand side of your app, there's a place where you can put comments, and it tags right in the post. And so if anybody has any questions, just go ahead and drop that down there, and then we'll take a look at it and get to it for you.
So,
I think the long form is interesting, because we were all looking at the price floor of some of the largest drops, and Claire Silver, of course, is at the top. Man, she's practically been at the top almost the whole time. And so if you don't know Claire Silver, then that's definitely the name that you want to throw around if you talk about AI art. So if you know nothing about AI art, memorize that. So someone says, "Do you know anything about AI art?" And you say, "Yeah, Claire Silver." They're like, "Okay, they know what they're talking about." But man, she's killing it with a price floor of 10 ETH. But even the big collection that she has, Genesis, it's a 500 supply, and so that's definitely long form. And we're
Yeah.
beginning to see that with a lot of these AI art projects.
Yeah, and the floor price right now is 8.5 ETH, but the minting price was 0.10 ETH. So in terms of return of investment, we are talking about an 85x.
Bro, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that.
and I think that we've been saying that you can find AI art on all the major platforms, and in some platforms there is even a complaint that a lot of AI art is flooded because of the easy production techniques around AI art, that it's flooding the market a little bit. But I would think you'd find the best art. We mentioned Kate Voss gallery, but the marketplace to really look at is Braindrops. And not because it's a good looking website, it's probably one of the worst marketplace websites I've ever seen, but because
Yeah.
they're really early AI champions, and everything they've done has gone through the roof. And particularly, I think the early stuff, it had an initial big impact, then it sat dormant for a while, and it's all in the last 3 months has all doubled and tripled in price again. But I think Braindrops is probably the most exciting sort of pure AI marketplace.
Yeah, and I heard from Gene Kogan that every one of their drops is sold out except for the latest one.
He's the founder of
Yeah,
Braindrops, actually. Yeah.
and so they've sold out of everything except for their latest project, which and so I mean that is an amazing sign. And not only that, but we're seeing that on all the different marketplaces. In fact, if you want a little alpha, the top marketplaces including Kate Voss, is also the Mirage Gallery, Fellowship AI, Vertical Crypto. There's also Braindrops. Obscura is kind of listed a little bit because it goes in that post photography. There's also Botto, which is a different kind of program. We have Pindar's Bitgans. So I mean, there's several different kinds of marketplaces just geared towards AI, and they're really kicking off. In fact, one of the biggest ones right now. So if you go into any of your NFT floor programs, you will see the power of Bright Moments. Bright Moments just had a Tokyo show that was all AI art, and it is seen as being the next generation of generative art. And I know that Mad Butter kind of touched on that with our Kate Voss interview, but that is major because Bright Moments is probably one of the holders of some of the most expensive and highest floor prices of NFTs, and to see that now they're beginning to move with AI, that right there is a great sign. I mean, especially when you look at the surge in generative art just this week, I believe up 70% because of that Sotheby's sale on Friday, and so that Fidenza went for what, like $1 million?
Yeah, $1 million.
Oh.
Yeah, $1 million. Yeah. And I think we're going to see something like this with AI art in the coming future. I mean, not a very distant future. So when was released the Fidenza collection? Like in 2021 or 2020? 2021, right?
Yeah, probably.
So it's been a couple of years, and one of the artworks has been sold for 1 million. So I don't remember the minting price for Fidenzas, but maybe it was 0.2 ETH or something like that. So make the numbers.
I think one of the things we want to talk about today is that, so we said is AI next Web3 bull run. We're obviously in a bear market, so a bull
Yeah.
run is a sort of an overstatement maybe, because everything is dying. But but I do think that what we're proposing to you actually is that may be a good opportunity right now. If you're getting into art blocks now, then that ship has sailed a little bit. In the secondary market there, I mean, things are already very, very highly valued, and there's really no opportunity there. I do think there's a tremendous opportunity to really understand and get into AI art now, because I do think it's very affordable and it's very underappreciated. So I think that's kind of like the big takeaway, I would say, from what we're trying to tell you, is that now is the time to get into it, because the prices are dirt cheap, and the FUD around AI and all that is sort of depressing the market a little bit, and the bear market is keeping things down. But I do think things will change, and I'm pretty optimistic they will. And I do see such high quality work coming out of sort of the important top level AI artists that I am personally very bullish.
Yeah, and it looks like we have amongst the audience some remarkable AI artists. I'm talking about Tux. I see he's among the audience. I love his work particularly, and I think, I don't know if it's the guy. I didn't know that. He sold an artwork on Sotheby's, right?
I'm not sure. We'd have to ask him. I think today we were noticing on the show, we were looking at what was it? Crypto art. What's the site, Mars? But anyway, we're looking at it today.
Oh yeah, crypto art, cryptoart.io.
Yeah. I just completely turned that around in my head. Cryptoart.io, and a Tux sale came up right as we were talking. So congrats on that, Tux.
Yeah. Well, let's ask Tux. Tux, if you have a moment, let's get you on stage and find out your secrets. We could call Tux a sellout artist, not because he's a poser, but dude, his work sells, and it's almost completely sold out. I think I saw on his feed he only has like 2 left. Dude's killing it.
Yeah, he definitely is killing it. And I mean, he's doing really cool artwork. I mean, I would like to ask him how does he do it?
And looking at the price floor, that Rope Reynesto that dropped Life in West America with brain drops, it was a 500 piece one-of-one art collection. And that's one of the things that has me excited about AI art, because even though the work was curated, and so it wasn't a surprise, seed, but it was where the artist, was able to, curate this many work, but he could do that because of AI, and the collection is strong. And that's what I'm excited about, because in the past it was like one-of-one artists were kind of eclipsed by, every kind of pudgy giraffe PFP project, because there's just no way that they could keep up with the volume. But now, if an artist is good enough, he can create a long form collection similar, and it doesn't have to be a PFP collection. In fact, it can be a straight up one-of-one type art collection, but it can be, a 500 drop. And I think, and that has not existed before. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And along that line, Pinder Van Armen told us, he says he doesn't see he thinks that the PFP collections, editions are going to be a thing of the past, just because AI art makes it so easy to do variations on things, that he thinks that these sort of large drops of one-of-one work are going to be the norm in AI art.
Yeah.
In all art, all NFT art.
Right, for sure.
Like smaller collection, like 10, 100 pieces or something like that, right?
I mean, editions aren't popular anyway, but he doesn't understand the idea of why you'd sell, an edition of 30 of one piece. identical. He says with AI, it's so easy and so much more rewarding for the collector to create variations on that piece than it is to sell a straight up edition.
So guys, what's the matter with AIR? Because this is another controversial point to talk about. We saw like some months ago, like people complaining about and in fact telling that AI art is not art. It was like a debate between people who thinks that AI art is indeed art and people who thinks that AI art is not art, which is kind of weird to me at least. But yeah, what do you think are the what's the problem here? What people is complaining about?
Well, I think the core of it is the loss of autonomy. The idea that the machine, the algorithm it creates is unprecedentedly involved in creating the art. And we see this in other art forms, certainly in photography and in generative art. But I think that it's at an even higher level in AI art. Though I do think it's important to recognize before you get too crazy with it's lazy, it's stealing, it's derivative, it's there's no ownership there, it's not art because of that you do need to look at those other art forms and realize that we're already way down the path toward using our tools to collaborate to make art, and it certainly represents a step above those other two examples, but maybe a step in kind. It's not radically that different. We're already immersed in a world where we're using our tools to make art.
Yeah. Well, I think as every new technology, people feels kind of threatened by it, I think, and AI seems to be overwhelmingly powerful, and suddenly everybody's talking about AI. People is talking even that it's going to take over the world, and humanity it's going to be wiped out from the face of the planet because of AI and whatnot. But I think AI is just another tool. I mean, it's really a powerful tool, but most of the artists that I'm interviewing, they don't just use AI in their artwork. I mean, they use it as another tool. Then they may use Photoshop or I don't know, whatever tool you can think of. And I see it as another tool that allows that democratizes the art making, So to make artwork, it's available for more people than before with AI, and I think that increases the competition. And I think there are some artists that feels kind of threatened by that.
Yeah, 100% about the democratization, because so in 2021 in the summer, I tried VQGAN AI, and I thought it was really cool, but I did not think it was cool that it took 10 minutes to create an image. So I said, no, this is not for me. But then when I came back with Midjourney, and then I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. Well, then by the time it gets to the fall of last year, I think this technology just came out of nowhere, and it shocked all the artists, because they're like, okay, this AI is making, I mean, now it's not making finished artwork, but it's making artwork that is pretty damn close to being professional. And I think it just scared the hell out of everybody. And but I tell you what, today I experienced something that I feel is going to be a big game changer for the whole attitude with this. is I used the Adobe Firefly image generation, which is replacing the content aware fill. So it's the generation fill. And so you did just like you did with content aware, you just you just delete the area or erase the area that you want to change. And if you leave it blank, the AI will figure it out. And then if you don't, you could actually prompt in what you want to replace. And I was shocked at how good that is. So that means that that's going to be in the next Photoshop. So, I mean, even if you're like, I don't know about this AI, well, buddy, it's going to be sitting right there in your Photoshop. And guess what? It's going to be normal.
And you're going to use it.
Yeah, it's going to be normal this summer.
Yeah, I think one of the big problems as we talk about AI art is we're talking about a whole bunch of different things, a huge spectrum of things. Aside from the idea that AI is pervading all kinds of aspects from, medicine to business to law to coding and all that, even within art making, there are times when it's very much like a tool in the sense that the AI way to do some very simple procedure that's done a traditional way is just faster and better. I mean, I'm thinking like rotoscoping and filmmaking, or separating backgrounds out, or filling something, or rescaling, upscaling art, all that sort of things. Those are just sort of tools where there's an algorithm. The AI one is just faster and better, and that's infiltrating every aspect of every tool that you use in art. But there's also, like, obviously sort of a history of people that are making AI art that are trying specifically to say, like, look, AI made this, and this is why it's unusual and different and exciting, which is a very kind of different attitude than saying, hey, we got to the same place, I just did it faster and better. And I do think that the top selling artists, most of them are from that early AI period, which we call the GAN era, the generative adversarial network, which was sort of the first technology to come into image making and animation from AI, and like Pindar and who else? Vadim Epstein and Xander Steenbruge and Ganbrud. All these people were GAN, and Sophia Crespo. All these people were GAN artists. And then we have the sort of second phase, which is the diffusion era, which is things like Midjourney and DALL-E and all those things, which are text to image prompts. So we have a couple different eras and a couple different sort of relationships. One is to like how hard and how difficult it is. In the GAN era, this was definitely very, very aligned with generative art. The stuff was very, very difficult to run. You had to be a coder, and you had to be deeply involved under the hood in the mechanics of how your art was made. In the current era, the diffusion era, then there's a whole other category of art, which includes things like, fan art and casual people doing anime and manga and all kinds of fun stuff who aren't really seriously trying to make art, they're just having a good time, to a sort of a new breed of people that Mars and I have been championing, particularly in the post-photography realm, where people are doing, photographers are crossing over and bringing very sophisticated sort of aesthetic and capabilities and sort of understanding of composition and storytelling and mood and atmosphere, that sort of thing, bringing it from photography over to AI and making super distinctive, weird-ass work that we really, really love and champion. So I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I would say that we love both those guys. We love the code warriors. We love the GAN artists and the people that are really mucking around with the stuff. We love that early stuff. We also love, and we love the people, particularly the photographers coming over and making really, really great stuff. Yesterday, a couple days ago, we interviewed Charlie Engman, a great artist to look out for. We're interviewing Jess Mack today, and there's Rope Rainstone, and then a bunch of others that were in a recent fellowship AI drop that are really showing that even without sort of like technically engaging, you can create something very distinctive and very unique with AI.
Yeah, but you also have you need to. I mean, I think there's many people think that AI art is not art or something like that because it is too easy. People think that just typing some words on DALL-E or Midjourney you can consider yourself an artist. And of course, that if you type whatever in Dali or Midjourney, you will get a pretty cool image. But people who is now doing, I mean, the AI art scene, the people who are really AI artists, they are not doing things like that. I mean, it's you have to really work on your pieces to get something, because I think it's not that easy to make original and soulful art with AI, because at the end of the day, the AI generators are trained, and they have a specific data set, and you need to work a lot on your prompts and on your artwork to make it different than the average. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. I think that also, like, his photography is example. This is trotted out all the time, and there's counter arguments and arguments. But I think the idea that when the first cameras came out, the idea that you could just click a button, anybody could, a monkey, somebody who didn't know anything about art could click a button and get a good image of somebody that did not require the years of training that a painter did. It was, that was very, very disruptive and upsetting. But I think similarly where we are today is that we have phones and our cameras and all that, and not every picture you take is a work of art. Sometimes you take a picture of your lunch just because you want to send it to a friend. Then that doesn't have the ambitions of art, in a marketplace. Something with AI, there's a lot of people having fun making fan art or genre art, like manga or anime or whatever it is, or Dungeons and Dragons kind of stuff, and they're having a grand old time, and so they should. The question is you need to get a little bit of sophistication in looking at that stuff and figure out, what separates a very well put together image from a real work of art. And a lot of that is, like informing yourself about the artist and the person making the work, because I can tell you, just like you can take a lucky photo every once in a while on your iPhone, that on its own is great. You're not a photographer until you can consistently take photographs that have some sort of coherence in terms of the body of work. And that takes a lot of skill and a lot of training. I think that's why these photographers are making such great AI artists.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people are concerned about the low effort aspect. They're just typing in a prompt. And I think that goes to what you were talking about, AI, Bert. That's where being an artist really steps in. And some people might say, oh, well, it's just the market's just being flooded with AI art. It's like, bro, have you ever looked at OpenSea? I mean, come on. I mean, so I remember in June of 21, everybody had a CryptoPunks knockoff. And you know what? Yeah. They were selling because people like the trading and the flipping. And, everybody knew that those were low effort in a sense. And in fact, one of them was even called low effort punks as a joke. And so I think that's one of the concerns today is, oh, this is just low effort AI. You know what? A lot of it is. However, this is also probably one of the greatest art tools that we've ever had. And in the right hands, we're going to be able to create stuff that's never existed. And I don't mean just single images, but right now with breakthroughs in 3D and AI, I just saw a metaverse creator, text a metaverse. Come on. And already the music is making all sorts of headlines. And so I am passionate about it. I do feel like this is probably one of the greatest tools that we've ever had. And it all has to do with not, big bloated databases of people stolen artwork, but it's actually deep learned models. And so in these AI models, there's no images. It's all training and it's all deep learning. And so it's all cross-referenced, not just with other images, but with the histories of the tags that are put on these images, and not just the histories of what the images look like, but where they came from, what kind of galleries, what people were associated with these other artists on these pages, the histories of the artists. And so all these things are tied into the prompts that we type in for these and that's just the type of image generators that are text to prompt. But there are other art generators that people take their own art and train on. And so many of the post photography artists, their models start off with them taking their own photography and training on it, and then they're able to produce like images. And so the technology, and there's new stuff every day. That's why we're addicted to it. It's not stop, bro.
Because this is another controversial topic, right? The ethical implications. A lot of artists complain that some AI generators were trained with their artwork, and some of them do not agree with it and ask the apps to take their artwork out of the data set, right?
Yes,
absolutely. And I think you need to keep. I think this is an important topic. I'm not brushing this one off. I mean, I'm an AI art aficionado and proponent, but I do think that that protecting artists is important, and I don't think that there is. I think there is a bit of concern here. I think it's particularly strong with illustrators who develop spent a long time developing a very sort of personal style, and that somebody just puts their name in and gets that style with no effort. I kind of agree that sucks. I do think that the whole argument is overstated when you're talking about a lot of AI art generation. As Mars said, it's not it's not a database of images that it's pulling from. It is a representation of of the data set that that the AI trains on to develop a sort of very discrete mathematical model that that understands certain characteristics of the images that it trains on. So I think that that's easy to misrepresent a little bit, but I think that probably the sorest point is cartoonists and illustrators who are having their styles ripped off. And I think that I don't know. I don't think you should reward them by buying their stuff. If they are being lazy and whatever, then don't reward them.
I think for me the key word is deepfake. So right now, deepfake is probably one of the scariest technologies and the negative aspects of AI that we have to worry about. And we can already predict, in the next elections or with revenge porn or whatever it is. But it's the same with art. And if you're deep faking another artist, dude, that's stealing and that's wrong. But using, these AI programs in an artistic way, just because it's trained on other artists, it's also trained on all the photos on the internet. It's just not trained on artists. It's trained on all the imagery that we have. And so it's like a big, encyclopedia of everything, and not just, people on art.
Yeah. Can you explain what it takes to train a model? Because maybe the audience may not know what does really mean. You're talking about people who is training AI generators with their own stuff. What it is? What is this exactly?
So right now, if you go to Midjourney, you can type in a prompt and you're using their trained model. And so they have models that they spend a lot of money on, refining the models, going in and cleaning up and using them. But now we have the technology where we can train our own models, and that's called fine tuning. And so we can take some of these base models and take our own imagery or other imagery we like and be able to take it to the AI and have it trained. And then it builds off these other models. And so it's called fine tuning. And so, if you've ever used Midjourney and you just can't get it to do what you want it to do, Well, you can go to Stable Diffusion, make a dream booth, and then guess what? You can put exactly what you want in it, and then that's what you can prompt. And so and so this is a newer technology with AI. But let me tell you something interesting about Claire Silver. She is the highest selling AI artist. When she got started, she was not training her own models. Even as far as November of last year, she had just barely started using, and AI artists will know what I'm talking about, Google Colabs. As of October of last year, she didn't even use a collab. In fact, she was using all online sites similar to Midjourney. And so that is definitely democratizing. She's not one of these people that wrote her own program. Now, she's definitely working on all that kind of stuff now. But when she got started, she wasn't. She was just using what was available, just like you guys have. And so, it is democratizing and it is open to anybody. But if you're geeky and you love the nerd stuff and you love, especially if you love to code, and man, GPT can teach you code also. So if you don't know how to code and you want to, man, it's all there right now. But you can also make your own models and fine tune on them. Whereas if you wanted to make your own model 2 years ago, you would have had to have like 5,000 images and start from the bottom. Today, if you want to make your own model, you only need like 10 to 30 images. So
just 10 to 30 images, eh?
or less.
Oh, there's zero shot also. There's a whole spectrum of stuff. There's a whole bunch of related technology you might hear about in the AI world. There's the fine tuning. There's making your own model from scratch. If you really want to sit down and get 50,000 images and make a whole model from scratch, that's probably what you need. But there's things called LoRa's, which are very lightweight. There's textual inversion. There's all kinds of embeddings. There's a bunch of words you'll hear. But I think that we don't need to explain all that. But I think the point is that if you want to take this indiscriminate brush and say it's all lazy and easy and derivative and copying, there are tons of ways to do a ton of work so that you're training on your own images, so that you're building your own data, and that you're creating a very unique sort of world with which the images are being extracted. On the other hand, you could say what like Charlie Engman, the guy we interviewed yesterday, say he doesn't give a shit about any of that. He likes it to be lazy and easy. He thinks that effort is not a good indication of good art.
No.
That he's bringing his very sophisticated style, and he's not carrying that cross. But if you want to reward that, if that's your attitude, there are plenty of people that are going deep into the technology now, and that's getting easier to sort of make your own little world from which you extract images from.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting point because we always think about good art in terms of the way it's been done. So you were talking about the effort. So if it took more effort, it's better. I don't think so. I think that you can have art that took a lot of effort that you can connect with it, and on the contrary, you can see art that it's been done with low effort, just using Midjourney or these models that are already trained, and instantly feel a connection, which is the purpose of art. I mean, art, you need to get a connection with it. It has to say you something. It has to convey some message. And I don't think this is at all related with effort or with something physical. I mean, you don't need. You don't really need to be doing an all oil painting to convey a message or to make an audience get connected with your artwork.
Yeah, I agree completely. But I would also say that I do have respect for people that are highly trained, whose work takes a long time to do. Yeah, I mean, Michelangelo making a statue.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, that's awesome. Or a painter who takes 3 months to paint something. I put a certain value to that work. If it's good, I don't necessarily put an essential value, and I don't say that's the only metric or the only criteria for good art. I think the photographer who captures the thing because he's at the right point in time in the right day, and he's got a really good eye, and he's whatever, and it took him 2 seconds to take the picture, and somebody else printed it, and another gallery person said that's all he did was the 2 seconds to push his finger on a button. That's not necessarily, you don't discount that because that's what it took.
Yeah, there's even the famous Picasso story where he's like at a cafe or something and scrawls out a drawing for somebody in just a few seconds, and somebody made the remark like, "Oh, that just took a few seconds. Like that's nothing." And he was like, "Oh no, it's took me 30 years."
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Very good one. Yeah, and it took a lot of time to to come up with this technology, right?
oh yeah,
So now we have already the technology built, but it took a long time to scientists and people's been working on this technology to figure out how to build it. So yeah, Picasso was right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the tools are getting easier to use. And so, I mean, that's definitely, definitely a process that we're moving from very complex research that is incredibly mathematical and incredibly complex to sort of user interfaces and tools. We're still in a very middle phase. Like most of us use a tool called Automatic 1111, which is a local install of Stable Diffusion. And it takes a little bit of if you're not a programmer and you're just coming from the art side, it's a little bit of a effort to get to the point where you can be productive in Automatic 1111. But
Yeah.
there are tens of thousands of people that will help you through it, and message boards and all. I mean, the AI community is extraordinarily supportive, just like the NFT community is.
yeah. And so, for instance, if you want to play around with this right now, and you're like, I don't want to pay $30 for Midjourney, two things that I use that are completely free are a site called playgroundai.com. All you have to do is sign in with like a Gmail address, and you can generate up to 1,000 images. And it's the same Stable Diffusion that other people use. And then the other one is if you have iOS, there's an app called Diffusatron. It's Diffusatron. I know it's a stupid name, but it is. Man, I was surprised. It is full on Stable Diffusion with the settings. It has realistic models. It has fantasy models. I was impressed, and it's pretty fast. It's got a nice interface. So between Diffusatron and PlaygroundAI.com, that'll definitely get you going to try it out. And AI is flipping everything on its head. And even now, there's been, it started off kind of as a funny criticism about, oh, now that there's AI, now we have these big collectors that weren't artists before, but now are releasing their collections. And that was kind of getting some criticism. But I mean, you just look at their success, and I think this is just the evolution of it all. One of the success stories is Fanzo. Fanzo had his podcast where he was going and collecting NFTs every day. And then he has this wonderful story about how he picked up AI and now he's running his own AI art collections that are selling well. Another is Clown Vamp. He started off as a collector and then realized the power. And he's one of the most collected AI artists on Fez. And so it flipped it. Another guy's Pop Punk, man, he's killing it. So, I mean, it's changing everything. So I would definitely at least get knowledgeable about it. And if you're collecting NFTs, I would definitely pay attention. 100%.
Yeah, definitely. Hey guys, I think we are running out of time. So maybe it's time to say goodbye. I don't know if there's someone in the audience who wants to, I don't know, say something, ask something.
Yeah, I would love to hear from you guys. This is my first time in your space, and so hard to read the room. Whether you guys are open to excited about it, or if you're filled with FUD about AI, and we should talk that down or talk around that, or how knowledgeable you are about AI trends and all that. So we'd love to get a sense of where you guys are at and what we can do sort of respond to that. But
yeah, and shout out to Satoshi Nakamoto that responded exactly. AI seems low effort. The same CryptoPunks also seemed low effort in the past. and CryptoPunks are definitely, that's great. I love it. Good job, bro.
Well, technology is about low effort, right? So
You got that right. That's hilarious. I love it. Never thought of that. You're so right.
Every kind of technology. I mean, the other day I was thinking about that, and it's like when you get home, you just switch the light on, and imagine before we had electric power, right? In at home, people need to chop some wood and light a fire.
Yeah. Wait, I got an email the other day, and I was like, this word is misspelled in this email this dude sent me. And I was like, how did that happen? Doesn't he have autocorrect? Like, there should not be any misspelled words like that. Like, it should catch all that. I mean, come on. You're right. That's exactly our future that we're living in.
Yeah.
And you got to step up. And people are worried about losing jobs, and you should. But you know what? You have to pivot. AI is here. It's not going away. So as an artist, you definitely need to get knowledgeable and just play around with it. Don't be scared. And it is the future. And just like I said, I use the new Adobe Photoshop feature, and it's going to blow your mind. So you're going to end up using it anyway. So, just embrace it and watch out for them deep fakes.
Yeah,
definitely.
We say, drink the Kool-Aid, come and join us. We're all happy on this side of things. No, I would say that the one quote I really like that I've heard a few times, and this is by the sort of visionary architect Buckminster Fuller. He says that we're called to be the architects of our future, not its victims.
Yeah,
and I think that's a beautiful quote that is sort of an inspiration in terms of anyone here's personal involvement in AI. Particularly if you're on the FUD side of it all, come and take a look at the tools, play with them a little bit before you pass judgment, and kind of see what's going on, because I think it's pretty exciting stuff.
Shout out to NFT Price Floor. Thanks so much for the opportunity. This has been awesome.
It's been awesome. Okay, guys. So have a nice day. It's time to say goodbye.
That's right. And just like on our show, we always end it by saying, treat your AI right. And if anybody's seen the movie previews for that movie, The Creator, coming out, you know what I'm talking about. Or The Terminator. I get it. Skynet. Treat it right. Let's go. Treat your blockchain right.
Anybody interested in following up on this thing, my DMs are open. And also, please come visit us on our AI Art today if you can get up early in the morning. If it is early for you, we'd love to hear your feedback on anything we've said today, or any of your interest or fear about AI.
Cool. Bye-bye, people.
Cheers.
Cheers.